Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be working in my sketchbook as usual for Wednesday's video, despite also doing traditional art for Saturday. But I feel like there's so many things I want to draw and then I don't end up drawing them. So we're gonna kind of combine a little bit today. I also don't know, or at least I didn't really have an idea going forward with like, sometimes I know what I want to draw and I draw it out, but then I'm like, if I want to add color, what do I want to use? Or do I want to go like black and white? I feel like for the entire look of the spread, I don't know what I want. So I don't know if I prepped it in the way that I would have liked for like specific mediums, but I think hopefully this will work out, if anything. So today will be another longer drawing session, so if this is not like up your alley in terms of types of videos, I'll promise to make some shorter ones as well in the future. Okay, but the thing that I wanted to do today, as you can see, I have a very quick kind of like sketch already done, little spread. It is done with the red, is the uni diet color lead, in the color red. So I use that with my usual multi-pen, pencil, whatever you want to call it, to do a very quick sketch of Kaisen and Masaki, who are both of my OCs. And the thing that I was kind of like going off of, was the fact that I wanted to do something with like autumn maybe colors. I'm kind of like over summer. I'm usually over summer like very, very early on. I'm not like a fan of the heat or like typically summer activities per se. I like everything pretty much about fall or autumn, so I want to kind of just do something with that type of vibe hopefully today. So I wanted to draw them with kind of like autumn outfits, but I was also thinking in the future, I don't know how soon I'll do this, it depends on how motivated I am. I've been seeing so much Fields of Mistria stuff because of the, I guess like the official 1.0 actually came out. I played the beta like quite a while ago, I think like around the release date for like the beta. But I have like very little hours on it. I think I only have like maybe 20-ish hours or so. I got my friend into it and she played it a heck of a lot and she really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna see if I'm gonna go back and play the actual 1.0, and I think my friend is gonna do the same. But we're like unsure if we want to like restart our file or if we want to like continue with our current files. We'll see. But because of that, I've been like wanting to do maybe kind of like the portraits for my OCs for something that resembles Field of Mistria vibes. Does that make sense? I think in the future I will try to do like actual pixel portraits of them and make the little kind of like almost RPG otome game kind of styled versions. I think it'd be very cute. So like I mentioned, but for the sketch we use the uni Nano dye color, and this one's the color red, 0.5. as that is what is compatible with my multi-pen, which is this one. So it's the Pilot High-Tech C Coletto, and this is the 5 because it has 5 different little pen parts, but I've replaced them with the mechanical pencil parts because I find it a lot easier and more applicable for my daily use. I think because I knew I was going to do some sort of color, I decided to choose a red lead for today. My plan is like potentially using more acrylic markers since I've kind of still have them out from the last session that I ended up doing. So I think I have 2 different sets that we can kind of refer to. So I have the Ohuhu Hilo set of acrylic markers, and these ones are great for like blending. But I also just like the colors in this set in particular. But I do have this one as well. So this one is the Languo Acrylic Marker Pro. And if I remember correctly, these ones have a nice tip to them, so I think it would be good to use them for like detailing and hopefully line work. And I'm thinking maybe I will do like a little bit of blending. I usually don't do a lot of blending for like acrylic markers typically. Because I do have these ones, we can definitely give it more of a go. Well, these like colors aren't super different. I feel like one's just more pink and one's more peachy. And then we need like a shadow color, which these ones might work a little bit better, maybe? I didn't really think too much about like an actual color palette for today, so we're gonna just kind of wing it for now. So we're just gonna kind of get our skin shading colors as well, just all set for the most part. I don't know if I'm gonna zoom in. Hopefully it's not too blurry. I'm sure like as we add colors, it'll be easier for you guys to see. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that I think I was watching, I don't know if it's like a haircut plus an interview. There's like a Korean hairstylist that I watch, and they often do like interviews with different clients, and some of them happen to be like idols or like celebrities, K-celebrities, I guess. So the recent one that I saw was on my recommended was MJ from Astro, and I haven't like listened to anything from Astro in like such a long time. So I actually didn't know that he was having I guess a solo comeback. But the song that he's promoting is so cute. Trying to make sure I'm using the correct color combination here. I should probably get a scratch pad maybe. I'll just make the blending kind of more subtle, because like I said, I don't really blend all that much, I don't think, when it comes to acrylic markers. I do mostly like cell shading, because I'm not confident in my color mixing ability here. Hilo ones definitely help out me a lot, because the color choices make it so easy for me to pick like colors that will seamlessly blend for the most part. But yeah, if you want like an upbeat song to listen to, I recommend listening to, I think it's called Ghosting by MJ from Astro. It's very cute. Like it feels very high energy summery feeling, or very early spring, kind of like, oh, youth kind of anime opening feeling, if that makes sense. So even though I said I was in more of like a autumn, cooler weather, I'm over summer kind of vibe, the song is very cute. I do like it. So I'm just gonna listen to it for today's session. Acrylic marker sometimes is a little hit or miss for me on this paper. Even though like, I know a lot of you guys like the longer sessions while I was working with like the acrylic markers for doing like a lot of the fun little colored spreads. And those ones are always very fun to do, but I definitely struggle sometimes with the wet medium on this paper and you're kind of like scrubbing back and forth. I can see like the pilling of the paper, but usually it doesn't become too bad after I put like an initial layer down, because then the first layer kind of acts like a barrier, so we can have a little bit more wiggle room in terms of like blending and making sure that things look a little bit more smooth rather than just like tearing up the page. But as always, if you guys are using this as like background noise, or maybe you're drawing along, because I know a lot of you guys actually like having these longer sessions to draw along with, let me know what you're working on. I feel like it's been a little bit, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the more other videos that I've done and I took a break from streaming once again. I don't know what you guys have been up to as of recent, so it feels like a while since I've last talked to you guys. I think I talked about this also in like other acrylic marker videos. This is on par with like my favorite type of acrylic markers. My favorite ones will always be like the pumping ones, because I can kind of control the flow of the paint. Because I'm always wary that if they don't have like a pumping mechanism, sometimes my paper feels like it sucks the ink or like the paint so much out of the marker that it becomes very streaky and very dry. I've never had problems with these ones as much, even though I don't remember which ones, and maybe it was like very early on. Despite me shaking them, they would like not get any more paint coming out, I guess. Does that make sense? Like it feels still very dry despite me like shaking and mixing the paint as much as I could. So it was very hard for me to get like, you know, not streakiness in my colors and everything like that. But more recently, I feel like the formula for these ones are always like very great. But I also like the brush pen kind of, or brush nib for these ones as well. They're typically more sharper, and because if the inconsistency is much more like liquidy and we're not going patchy or very dry, it makes it very easy for me to get like lines as well that are sharp for line work or smaller details, which I find very helpful. He's very pink right now. So using like acrylic markers like this, it's always very nerve-wracking. I just suck at blending, I feel like. I don't really have like a painterly part of me, I feel like. Digital art, I can kind of like feign it a little bit because of the color picking ability, but like traditional art, painting was just always a big weak spot for me. So experimenting with like acrylic markers in a way where you can still get bold colors, but oftentimes I work a little bit more clean. so that it will be more like cell shade forward. We're just looking for our highlights and our shadows. I feel like I lost a lot of my sketch for Masaki's face. But I think like one thing I definitely struggled with, it was not really understanding sharp areas and like soft areas of blending for painting. I feel like for drawing, I mostly did a lot of my artwork like very, very soft. That was like a thing that a lot of classmates as well. I think I've talked about this before, that a lot of my classmates could recognize which of my drawings were typically mine, because I work in a very more like soft kind of rendering or shading, or how I approach things were much more softer than some people might approach it. But I feel like no one would be able to recognize my painting because it was like all over the place and just very poor. But I do lean more towards like having something that is more softer typically, I would say. But I think that's why like I like playing with the acrylic markers, because I get to do a little bit more cell shading and still getting a result that I still really like. But being able to blend the colors does help a bit. But might also be a personal preference. But if you guys have played Fields of Mistria or are playing Fields of Mistria, you guys have to let me know if you are romancing anybody, who you're rooting for. I think when the beta came out, I'm pretty sure I did a video about like drawing some of the bachelors. I don't remember, did I draw the girls? I might have did one video each. I hate the drawings that I did for them, so I might redo them. But I might prioritize like drawing little pixel portrait type things for my OCs because I think it would be cute. I'm trying to remember. Is his name Rias or is it Reese? I'm going for him in my like original file. If Ulrich was available to be romanceable, I would be 100% going for him. He's so adorable. Kind of like himbo energy. But very, very cute. And I feel like for March, you either really like him or you just dislike him. I've seen like a bunch of different opinions. I know a majority of people really like March. I think he's cute. Tsundere type typically is like not my go-to. I usually go for like the sweeter characters, I guess. Because I think out of the girls, I was like, what would I pick? Celine? I don't think I would. I think I actually might go for Reina. If that was the case, out of the girls. If not, maybe the Valen? Maybe? And I think I talked about this as well. Is that... Actually, I might be undecided about this. So I have a larger sketchbook that's kind of like in my roster of being like the potential next sketchbook that I would like to use after this one, because we are getting closer to the end of this one. It's not going to be as quick as I think I would want it to be, but we are kind of, you know, getting closer and closer to the end of the sketchbook. So because of that, I'm debating. I think more recently, I took a break by using sketchbooks from artists that I've bought, like, you know, their merch or whatever. So I think I have... I think I spoiled myself was it last year or maybe the year before that? There's like an artist that I really like, and I ended up buying a lot of their sketchbooks because they were on sale, and I feel like they said that their stuff was not going to be available for a while. So I was like, I might as well take advantage. Luckily they are Canadian, so I don't have to worry about, like, you know, the tariff situation, which I don't even want to talk about the tariff situation right now. One is like a much larger, I think it's like 7 by 10, and I'm so excited to work on it because I want to do like full spreads, just like single sheet, but like make it larger so we can do more like full bodies, because I don't like drawing like super tiny. I feel like in the sketchbook for full bodies, I feel like I always try to cram them, so I feel like I would have more wiggle room in that one, and maybe it'll like open up as like the gateway to going back to doing things in a larger sketchbook. So during like my studio days, I would use like they're just like black. It has like the bumpy cover, and they're like hard bound sketchbooks, and they're like all A4 sized. And I've used them all throughout like high school till a good portion into my uni days, because in uni I think they required you to also carry a A4 sketchbook, and you had like certain assignments, like sketchbook assignments to do in them. But I feel like I kind of want to just like either tear out the pages or somehow put them all together into one thing and just reuse the sketchbook, because it's such a waste that almost like 90% of the sketchbook is just not used. So I'm gonna find a way, because I think it would be nice, but I don't want to show like all of my, well, maybe I'll keep them. I've always carried around smaller sketchbooks because in my backpack or like on the go, an A5 sketchbook, so like anything around 5x7, 5.8 by 8 inches, whichever typical size, I guess, for these sketchbooks. It's more convenient, right? They fit in your book bag, your backpack, your purse. But because I feel like I definitely been carrying my sketchbook less out to places, I might loop my friend into being like, hey, wanna go cafe hopping or something? But then again, I'm thinking like in this economy, maybe not. Because I want to do like a cute art date, but none of my friends are like traditional artsy people, I guess. You know what I mean? All of my art friends are mostly online. But because I'm not, that was like a whole tangent and for why. But I've been mostly not carrying around my sketchbook, so why not go bigger if I know I'm not going to take it anywhere? I'm going to do the chibis last. Is that a bad idea? I think I want to put like my full attention on the chibis when I actually have to work on them, so we're just going to keep alternating, I think, back and forth. Or maybe I'll let Masaki dry. We'll work on Kaisen and then kind of work this way across. He is still very patchy, so maybe... I didn't prep the marker as nicely when I started doing Kaisen's color, so it did come out a little bit more watery. He feels so like flushed. Flushed feeling. But I did like a little almost trial run of doing a pixel portrait of one of my Oshis in the kind of like more Fields of Mistria-esque style. I don't know if I were to make ones actually of like Kaisen and Masaki and like the rest of my cast of OCs, depending on how much energy and time I can fit into making them all. Would I go like Fields of Mistria route, or will I just do it my style but keep the kind of like essence of Fields of Mistria? Does that make sense? For the pixel portraits, I think it'd be cute to do. And like to reimagine, I guess. I did mention earlier, I didn't really have like a color palette in mind. I feel like Masaki, I usually have a standard that he has like a darker inside of his sweater, and then the cardigan is a lighter color. For Kaisen, we could go either or, because his color palette typically is a lot darker, and I don't know if I want to go more earthy or keep his color palette the same and just introduce a different color. No, I don't know anything about fashion, so I was thinking, do I go lighter dress shirt or like collared shirt leaning towards like purples and then having a darker cardigan, which I feel like is very Kaisen? Or do we want to go like darker shirt, lighter cardigan, similar to like how I have Masaki's? I don't know. Like, this one screams Kaisen to me if I put these together. I just don't know how I want to distribute the colors. I feel like lighter inside makes more sense, darker cardigan. It's more his vibe. Because we're gonna do shading anyways for a lot of these parts, we can introduce like quite a few different colors anyway. I'm just gonna prep these markers since they've been sitting, I think, upright. I should really lean them on their sides so that the paint doesn't dry out the tip of these markers too badly. I might do the same for Masaki, and then we'll work on the face for Kaisen. So I'm gonna try my best not to do too much scrubbing back and forth until we get to our second pass. That way, hopefully, the first layer will act like as a good barrier, like I mentioned earlier. And we're gonna leave a little bit of like outlines so that we don't get too lost with our shapes here. I'm sure I forgot to mention this at the beginning when I was talking about our sketch here. So I think me sketching with red typically is a safer bet if I know I'm gonna do some sort of color. Working with a character that has more of like some sort of skin tone, because I lean the skin tone definitely more towards the warmer side. So if it has to blend in with a cooler color, hopefully it won't turn like a green or like a muddier color. We can kind of keep it more towards just the warm side until I need, like, you know, to introduce more shadows that are more purpley, which I also forgot to do for the skin. So we'll throw that in as well. the red mechanical pencil. And it used to be like my favorite for a while, but I think like ever since I switched more to the Uni Nano Dia color ones, you guys have been seeing me use probably the dark blue a little bit more. I was gonna do like a full chibi spread today, but no. I ended up drawing so many chibis like this week, and the week has only started. So I was scared I was gonna get too burnt out from doing that, so I ended up not doing a chibi spread. We have like 2 little chibis here, which hopefully I won't butcher too badly, but that usually never ends very well for me. But the blue mechanical pencil is still like my favorite for just general sketching, which I have not been doing as recently. I know I said like I don't get burnt out typically, and I don't think I am. I truly don't think I am burnt out because I'm doing other things, but it might also just be too many options to the fact that, oh, there's so many things that I do want to draw that I end up not drawing anything at all. So it's like being too paralyzed to start anything. That might be the case. I'm not too sure. Because a lot of like Genshin characters I want to draw. I want to draw Fields of Mistria stuff. There's like OC stuff that I want to draw. Acrylic marker sometimes just feels very slow. But I just want to be careful. I do enjoy using like acrylic markers. The bold colors is kind of like what sold me to being like, oh, maybe I will use like acrylic markers more often. But I go through phases. I think I was so fixated on alcohol markers at some point that I kept using them. But they were kind of a pain to use sometimes in my sketchbook because of all the bleed through. I didn't want to rely only on using alcohol markers as the way to add color. And I know I've kind of like not done the water-based marker spreads as often anymore. I don't know. It might be because of my inking or not liking my lines afterwards. I just need to get back into it, I think. Because I definitely think that helped me strengthen, at least, how I viewed a lot of different color palettes. I will go back to those eventually. But today's not the day. I'm loving the more smoother, opaque color. I don't know if you guys can tell. I love cardigans so much. I think they make up like 90% of my wardrobe. Spring, summer, winter, autumn. All of that is mostly mostly cardigans. I think I'm gonna stick with my more simple kind of like derpy eyes so we can keep it nice and clean and also more readable like at this scale. I usually have like issues with acrylic markers being typically on the thicker side, so like detailing that I prefer, it gets a little bit too messy. Even though like there's plenty of people who use like the acrylic gel pens and acrylic markers and have like beautiful details, I am not that person. So we're probably gonna use just the 3 colors for his eyes, unless I want to add like a little accent color at the very top for a little bit of reflective light. But usually these types of eyes, I don't go like shiny per se. I like the flat, more very easy to read. So I usually split kind of our iris into 3 different parts. So usually no pupil, unless you want to count the white part as their pupil, but I count as more like a giant eye shine. But what I like to do is the bottom half of the eyes, if you can, I make it the lighter color. Then the other half will make it our kind of like mid-tone color. Now this will depend on like the character's eyes in general, because if they have very light colored eyes, it might not reach like the mid-tone color, or like if they have really dark eyes, maybe you don't want to go as light. And I actually do like a kind of like a harsh cut line across. The green is pooling a little bit, so it doesn't read really green. I don't really like how dark his under eyes are. And then this is like mostly dry. I do mid-tone color, like I mentioned, for the upper half. Now sometimes I use this like all the way through the eyes, but I think this one we're just gonna use it for the upper half. And that's it. It's just very simple. I know a lot of people do these types of eyes, but I always call them my derp eyes because when I sketch them, I just literally scribble in a circle, leaving the center portion just completely light. Little mole for my son. He's so pink. I might want to widen his face a little bit. He's a little bit, how to say, his jaw feels very long. So I'm gonna drop his chin just a smidge more wider, or his jawline, I guess, rather than his chin. And if we need to, we can bring it back up. But as this is drying, we're gonna pick our last color. So in this case, I'm picking a dark purple. And like I said, you could do one more color. I feel like I do this more with my chibis, but I would add a band of a lighter color that's typically not the same color palette as the eyes in any way. So like for Kaisen's, I think I usually use, I'm just gonna try to even this out. I'm gonna have to lower the little highlight in his eyes. But for Masaki, and I think for Kaisen, I would actually use pink for like the upper little highlight. With this particular eye color, I guess, with the skin tone that Masaki and Kaisen have, the lighter eye color, the bottom portion of their eyes, it does get a little lost. So have to be a little careful. It would be nice to add a little bit more information. And I feel like I always call this wrong. It technically is like double eyelids, but it's not like a very much like separate fold. Does that make sense? I usually taper it right off of where the eye lash line is, because that's how mine are typically. Like the fold is like right on the edge of where my eye is. Let's give a little indication for Kaisen. I might, yeah, we will use our mid-tone color maybe to darken up his little lashes. Even though it looks a little funny, I feel like it fits fits him a little bit more easily. Okay, so I'm gonna let this portion dry a little bit more before we actually tackle the hair. I'm also wondering if I should make Masaki's hair go in front of his name like I did for Kaisen. I left so little room for his name because I wasn't too sure if I should have put it on the bottom. It probably would have made more sense. So this one I am kind of doing the opposite, but I'm still blocking in pretty much just one solid shape, but I want to leave a little bit of information so I know where I can add like bits and bobs of other color if I want to do, what is it called? Some highlights. I kind of wish I didn't cut into the hand that hard. So I might focus most of our highlights on this side, so I'm going to try my best to leave enough areas here. Kind of looks like he's wearing pajamas. I don't know why. I think it's cute. Not my intention, but I'm trying to think. If you cross your hands or cross your arms, so this one would be tucked in. I think because also I'm not like super painterly, whenever I do start coloring things in, I don't know if there's like a quote unquote like a proper method. I usually block in kind of like the silhouette like this just to keep it flat, and we'll fill that in after. So hopefully it dries a little bit more flat than all this buckling. But I don't know, is there a different way? Do most people fill it in? Because I know some people work like section by section, but then they're constantly changing colors as they're working on different places, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know. Should we block in Masaki's hair maybe first? Okay, so brown. I feel like brown's typically very easy for Masaki. BR220. Eyebrows will come after, I guess. That way I can put it on the very top. I was like digging through some of my old files. They're not even that old, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I made a video talking about like doing silly animations for my OCs. And I know there was like a project that I really wanted to work on, but I feel like it's such low priority for me right now because I want to focus on a few other things that I won't get to it. But one of the smaller ones that I always like doing is like, if you've seen my art streams in the past, I have like little spinning chibis of my OCs and they spin on my screen. And then I have Masaki and a little like potted plant. Heck, I think I made a sticker of it because I had so much like room on my sticker sheet, because when I was making gifts for friends, I usually have a lot of excess room and I don't want to keep the stickers usually for myself if I make them for friends, because it's nice to have, but like it's specifically for them, so it's like, you know, their OCs and stuff. So I decided to fill the like excess space with like some silly things. So I ended up printing out the little pot Masaki here. I would like to make one for like all of my OCs. So I would like to get back to doing that eventually. But I also like, I want to do pixel art. I want to finish making all of my VTuber merch stuff. It's too much I want to do. The thing I am kind of like bummed about, but I'm also very thankful because it is a very stressful time typically, is the fact that I have no art markets or conventions this year. There was like 2 that I was banking on that was like local, but I've been put on the wait list. And at this point, because of how close they are in, like, they're within a month, and then the other one's like within the next week or so. I know I'm probably not going to get off that wait list, so I'm probably just going to focus on my own stuff for now. And with the new tariff stuff going on, I can't feasibly say when I will reopen my store. Because even sending a replacement package for Patreon, and that usually just goes through like normal letter mail. But when someone's Patreon mail gets like lost or unable to reach the person, usually I opt to do tracking. But because of that, I think that's how I incur tariffs. And the last one that I did, I think it was $17 worth of tariffs. And I'm like, okay. That's more shipping, more than the shipping I already paid for the person. So I'm like, it's very much not worth it. So I do apologize that I kept saying that I was gonna open my store like really, kind of like at the earliest in the summer. And I kept pushing it back because I had no time to actually make the products that I wanted to make. And I know I could have just opened with the stuff that I already had. But I wanted to have like some cool and fun things for you guys. But I wasn't able to finish them all, and then boom. Trade war with the US. I mean, granted, it was already like that to a certain extent, but now it's like mutually on both sides. But, you know, I would like to think more positively, but it just really sucks right now. But there's like many things that are wrong right now in terms of just conflict. Okay, we're just gonna work on Masaki because Kaisen, because I keep adding things last minute, he needs to dry a little bit more. Oh, also, there's like new VTubers. They're like Korean ones. And they have like a very cute group, but I'm like so enamored by one of them. Cause I think you guys know I like softer characters typically. Or this VTuber has like black hair, they're majority like blue. Just in general, I think like aesthetically they're very cute. But like their singing and like their demeanor is very soft. I find him so adorable. I feel like I do want to draw him as well. So I think the group is called like Andes? Andese? Not counterparts. Like Kudo, the one that I like, he is cat coded. The other one's like a dog. We have like a bunny. Kudo decided his fan name, and I think they went with Shiro. Shiro, as in like white, which I think is cute because his is black. But they're super cute, and I might listen to them more so I can practice more of my listening to Korean. Let me quickly check. So following, yes. So Sei is the green one, like the new color palette though. So cute. So cute. I don't know if they're based off of an animal. Perfumer, cute. Because I keep thinking maybe it's like reptile coded. They have Yuno. Visually, their face is so adorable. I can tell he's gonna be like a menace. I feel like he has a soft face, but it's gonna be a menace. Because I keep seeing this photo floating around. I'll probably put on the screen actually, maybe. They're so cute though. So you have Kudo, Neo, Sei, and Yuno. And then there's one other person I feel like they're leaving as a mystery right now. And their name is... My Twitter will load. Please. Kaiha? Kaiha. But guys, I'm so... I feel like I'm so easy with like characters that I like. Let me show you. There's like, look how cute he is. I'm so... I don't know, the way that his hair is styled, the color palette, and then I like characters with black hair. But I feel like a lot of my Oshis typically have like lighter hair. Kudo will be the exception, I guess, technically. I want to draw him so bad. He's so cute. But let's go back to figure out how we want to color Masaki. Because I instinctively took this color out. But if we're doing fall colors, like I said, Masaki has more of like muted greens as well as browns. So Let's do maybe this color for the base to match it. I feel like this is usually the color I actually would give him. Even for his winter outfits, I feel like this is like the cardigan color. And then usually I pair it up with either black. But I should just do this so that we can save on a little bit of paint. Oh, okay. I can't get this out of my head since I was talking about undays. And they're all good at singing. Like, what the heck? This is like another reason. It's like I got into Plave because of their singing. So having these guys be like awesome singers, but they're also just like design-wise very much up my alley. Glasses version, like you just want me to perish. This is like a one, it's easy. If I already like the character, just slap glasses on them and I'm like, oh my lord. I'm super easy. Kudo, I believe, is the leader. I haven't listened to a full stream, but I always catch like clips and stuff. But he's very soft, and I feel like Yejun kind of in that same wheelhouse, you know? Yejun's singing voice is also like one of my favorites, so I just like, it was a very easy pick for me. But Kudo, I do like a lot. I think he's very cute. For Kaisen, I'm making the light come from pretty much the right side, and then for Masaki it's on the left. This might even be a little bit too light, but with the idea of making sure that it's more fall themed, this kind of like caramel, orangey, it's not even caramel, I guess it's more like burnt orange almost. Slightly more ochre color. I feel like it fits Masaki very, very well. There was like a new Utaite group I also saw do like a kind of like a debut, but I think it's like with pre-existing either VTubers or Utaites, but they're like forming a group, which I think is also very cool. I think this is gonna give me more incentive to try to learn more Korean. My listening is like, I think for variety shows, I'm pretty okay because they use, I feel like, very simple Korean. And I'm talking like, you know, like Going 17, that kind of stuff, because it's very casual, right? So I can pick up on a lot of stuff that they're talking about. Occasionally I would listen to like Suha and Sefina, who are like my favorites out of Niji KR at the time, or EXKR for Niji. And then I also, I think, what was it? Petra with Ver. They're doing like a Korean learning stream as well. And she was like teaching him, I don't remember if it was the Cantonese one or if it was the Mandarin one. I think it was Cantonese one. There's like a tongue twister. Language learning, I feel like it's fun. I wish I could like actually like lock in, because I would love to learn more Cantonese, because that's like my parents' mother tongue. But also Japanese and Korean, because it's a lot of the media that I consume. And I already learned like bits and bobs of each of the languages because I consume so much of the media. Because I was telling my brother, and my brother had to test me. I probably talked about this because this was like years ago, but I feel like my listening's so bad as of like late because I haven't been watching as many like variety shows or K-dramas and stuff. Oh, why did I do his hair like that? Oopsies. But my brother would find like a version of Pororo, make me explain what's going on, and then we'll find like the English translated version, the one that has like subs, to see how accurate I was. And I was pretty accurate. Because like I said, I feel like we're conversational, very basic. I guess like also because there's context of like what they're doing, I can, you know, get the gist of it even more. But I could pick up on a lot of stuff, so like I would wish to actually like properly study so that I can expand, because I feel like vocab is always like the part that becomes very difficult. I feel like sometimes on streams, I always ask you guys like what type of characters do you guys like? I'm only saying this because I have not exited out of that Twitter picture that I showed you earlier. So I have that cute little glasses Kudo on my phone still. Like the hair patterning gives me more like similar to Donhung. I feel like because Donhung has like a very simple hairstyle, but that hairstyle is like very easy for me to really like, because I think they're always like fluffy and round, and I think it's very cute. Because I love when the bangs in the middle does like the little crisscross. It's a very prominent kind of like center shape. It's very cute. And then you have like face framing pieces. Adorable. It's my favorite. I don't really care about like, I think the exception is like Artem. There's some like other ones. I used to be more partial toward, not partial, I used to be more biased towards like the Kama hairstyle. I always liked that because I like the more sophisticated look. And I still like that look a lot, if anything. But being round and fluffy makes them very cute, like very adorable in my eyes. So in terms of like what kind of character I like to draw, it'd probably be something similar to like Danheng, Ike, Alban, Kuro. Visually, my type would be more like Artem, I think. Some of the paint markers are getting a little bit messy. Does that make sense though? Hopefully. So that way we can carry his kind of sweater color all the way across, I guess. Even though like I had the initial shape here, but I think I was indecisive on how I wanted to have Masaki wear his sweater. Okay, since we don't have any binder clips on this side, I'm gonna do this same kind of the same thing here. I'm gonna pinch the corner off. We'll fill in the corner at the very end, but this way, kind of let this paper dry more flat. This marker is a little bit more streaky. I think it's because it has more of like a watery consistency. I feel like this happens a lot of times with ones that are lighter in color. Let him dry. I guess we can work on Kaisen's shoulder is gone. Probably do that as well. Let's see. So like I said, light source I'm making kind of for the right side for Kaisen. So the funny thing is like on camera, you guys are seeing it look super crazy, and it probably still is. But for me, with the high gloss, I can't see where I'm putting this down, so it doesn't look as drastically contrasted. Might bring back some dark purple into his hair. So right now it's reading lighter, but I think you guys can see it as mostly just the one color, so it's not really... Oh no, you can see the difference. Maybe it's okay then. Because that way we don't have to only do it with the two colors, and we can kind of allow ourselves to soften this transition a little bit. He's looking more like himself. I don't know what his initial expression that I gave him in my sketch was, because I didn't take a picture. I do recommend, if you like your sketch a lot, take a picture before you cover it all up. We're gonna have to carve it out again. Don't know if I really like it, but I did end up making it more bumpy here because of his silhouette where his foot is for the chibi was. Don't know if it would have worked, so I'm just gonna cover it up and we're gonna have to paint that back in afterwards. Like this. I probably will have to add a shadow color because it might be the same color I use for the outlines of some sort. I think if I open up his cardigan a bit more. Also try mixing it with a purple maybe, or even a gray. Maybe a gray would work better. Don't know if I like this gray color. We could go warmer maybe. Imagine both of these guys are confronting you. I'm realizing maybe I can drop a shadow like this much darker. We'll just add an extra bounce light of a different color. That way we can break up the shape a bit more and hopefully it will look a little bit less like messy in a way. And for things to read well, you have to rely a lot on like being able to differentiate form, but also like contrast and or like the color choices you make. But for me, it's also the fact that if I leave something very messy, it's very easily seen as being messy, you know what I mean? There's a little bit less wiggle room. So I think this helps, but like overall with the lighting, I feel like it is a bit too dark. I say as like I immediately put something down. It's not too bad, it's just, it doesn't fit. So maybe it isn't too great. A little too close, but you know, it's okay. Maybe that's the only way I can fit Masaki's name without it being super covered. Masaki? Kinda works. I think I should have shifted over just a slight smidge more. Because then I would have aligned the actual letters together. Actually, I think that actually works. It's just like the consistency for this color is a little thin. Let's do one more pass for Masaki's hair so that we can get a slightly more solid color. Now, it would have been smart for me to actually wait for it to fully dry so I'm not pushing around some of the color and revealing more of the paint underneath, but we should be okay. Okay, to make this very simple, we're gonna block in our skin tones, which I guess I made Kaisen more pinky, like I said earlier. I'm low-key setting myself up for failure, because as much as I would have loved if these were much cuter, I don't feel like I have the energy to want to go through the same thing what I did for them, and I kind of want to just get to line work. I am nervous. Okay, let me do a quick erasing of our sketch here. Looks kind of cute. So what I'm gonna do is also make sure my binder clips are clipping in areas that I need them to lay flat while I'm doing the line art. So most likely I'm gonna keep it on the upper half because I can just press down the rest with my hand while I'm inking. I am not confident that I'm gonna do this well. So we're just gonna pray and hope. If I'm working in my sketchbook, especially, you know, be less precious with your stuff. Just let yourself run wild a bit with, you know, practicing stuff, testing things, making all the bad art that you need to make. But we're using, yes, the Languo markers for this. Let's see how this goes. I will maybe do the face last on each of them because I don't want to wait for more dry time in between. And for the most part, they're not gonna need too many outlines, I feel like, or at least Kaisen won't, because it's gonna match this color anyways for like his hair, his outfit. And I always do the mistake. I started on the right hand side when I'm right-handed, therefore I will immediately smudge this. Also, I'm at the mercy of the clouds right now, so if the lighting changes, I apologize. So for me, sometimes there's a trade-off between trying to balance your hand on the page and then getting a super straight line. Because if you want like longer, more smooth lines, it's nice to be able just to move your whole entire arm, kind of like locking at your elbow. You can also like darken these up. Sometimes darkening these things up gives a nice sense of contrast, but you can go the opposite way if you want more of like that, pushing it in the distance by making it a lot more pale and lighter. I always given Masaki like these boots. I think they're probably close to what you would consider like a Timberland kind of boot. Because I feel like he would go for a utility and something that he can do for like every day. So like slightly chunkier boot probably works the best for him. Even for me, like other than the summer, throughout like as soon as autumn hits or any like raining weather, so I still wear them like even during like the spring and stuff, but I always wear like combat boots. They're like my favorites. Like before I used to be like a diehard, would wear low, what is it called? Low tops? Converse? Because they're just really easy kind of shoes for me to wear. Because I wear mostly like casual stuff, right? Oh, my hands are shaking. But I got these combat boots back in like during my uni days, and they've lasted me until now. They're like a nice military green color. I kind of want to get a pair that's black, but I think I'll wait until my green ones actually deteriorate so badly that I will have to get a new pair anyways. But during my uni days, like I would always wear like one of those like military green type of jackets. And it always matched my boots, so I always wore like dark leggings or black leggings, and then only my top would mostly change. And I don't really care about like my outfit colors too much, because like at least when it's like colder or raining, my jacket, my boots, and my pants will be like pretty much always matching anyways. Nowadays, like I think it's still more like neutral colors, but I've added more like beige and kind of like a camel brownish color. But I always love wearing like navy. The contrast for Kaisen's little portrait, I feel like it's just cuter. I think it would have been smart for me to pick like maybe a darker brown for Masaki instead of just using the same blue. But I guess to you guys, like it reads very black anyways, so like maybe it doesn't really matter. But Kaisen's reads a little bit more simple because all of the darkest areas is the same color as his line work. But even for the sequence, like I should have worked left to right, but from top to bottom, then I'm not awkwardly avoiding certain areas. Okay, so for facial features, we're gonna use kind of like the same color I used for Kaisen's shirt, because it's on the warmer side, but I feel like it should be dark enough that we can use it for our lines like this. I might start just to close the eyes a little bit, give them a little bit more definition. And having like a good consistency helps a lot for doing the line work, because if it's too liquidy, I feel like it blobs on really thick. Looks a little happier. Otherwise, like I would say slightly more dry marker might work better for the outlines, just because like if you're looking for thinner lines, you can kind of like build it up a little bit, but you don't want it so dry to the point where you're not making any marks, and it might be more detrimental if you keep going back and forth. Then it becomes very scratchy looking, because unfortunately I can see where it's getting dry, so it does require me to press down a little bit more so the marker has more surface to let go some of that ink. Okay, so for Masaki, I don't know. I don't know if it's the nose or the fact that I feel like his eyes just feel a little far apart as well. Might also be because I made this line very dark compared to the underside of his iris. No. That's what I was worried about. The white pooling. Let me see. It's not just a dry brush. Help suck up that paint back up, so hopefully we don't have it looking like that. I mean, it kind of evens out his eyes a bit. I might retouch it up again afterwards. I know I said I wouldn't add any shadows really to them, but I think it kind of helps. I guess for him, it would probably benefit from the lighter lines. I just don't know what color I put, so maybe I won't. Because if I could block out just like a little square and did like a little grid, I think it looks so cute. Otherwise, I think we're just gonna add in our white outline for Chibi Kaisen. So that he stands out, and I'll add like a tiny one for Masaki. Because there's not really any space for Masaki's, unfortunately. Because I can definitely squeeze in Kaisen's, unless I make it go upwards. Maybe I will? I don't know. I don't think there's actually a good way for me to adjust the lighting in here without like making this look overexposed, because look how shiny the paint is. I didn't do a second pass of like this green portion, so it remains kind of more of like a matte texture, or like a sheen, I guess, because everywhere else has like pretty shiny finish, I guess. But here's Kaisen and Masaki. Kind of just because my brain won't let go of the idea of wanting to play Fields of Mistria. I really do want to play it, but I feel like I just don't have time to dedicate to it. I also am feeling like maybe I would restart. Even though like I have anywhere between, I think it's 15 to 20 hours in that game, but I am debating if I should restart because I feel like there's like a few quality of life changes that maybe I can help streamline everything. We'll see. Doing like pixel portraits. I don't know if I want to do it maybe of my OCs and go more like Fields of Mistria style, or like go towards my own pixel style, trying to figure out what that is. Could be fun to do like the new Genshin characters and like a pixel kind of like otome game, RPG type of layout or style portraits. I think it could be cute. We'll see. A part of me wants to do my OCs so that I can add them to my art fight profile for next year, but also I'm debating about this. I might talk about it in a different video maybe next year when we get closer to art fight, because I think I want to switch up my priority a bit, so we'll see. But for now, I think this is it for today's video. If you guys are interested in more kind of like acrylic marker spreads, I have like a bunch of different other long sessions as well, so if you haven't seen those, feel free to check them out. There's like plenty of different large spreads where I've done full acrylic marker, acrylic gel pen type of drawings in here, and a bunch of different color palettes, I think, which I think they turned out pretty cute. I do wish that I added some sort of background because it does feel a little bare bones, but I feel like it just fits for now. I didn't really plan like too carefully about what exactly I wanted. I knew I was just gonna add color, but we're still quite a ways away from finishing off the sketchbook. I'm hoping I can get back into getting into a sketchbook habit. I think I mentioned this every time, but we started this one in February and it's already gonna be September pretty soon. I feel like I've been spending too long on the sketchbook and I really want to change sizes, see whether or not I want to use a larger sketchbook in the future. As much as I love this type of size, and I'm very comfortable using obviously my own notebook designs because I'm very familiar with the pages, but it would be nice to work on something a little bit larger without being a little bit restrictive with like the weird seam in the middle or the gutter of the pages coming in together. Does that make sense? But I won't ramble too much longer. I bet this video is already probably long enough, so I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!